Imagine the fire, but not an ordinary fire. A fire that sticks to the skin, that water cannot extinguish, that burns down to the bone and keeps burning even after you fall to the ground. When napalm was dropped, the air changed. The smell warned of what was coming next, and within seconds, the battlefield turned into a liquid inferno. Soldiers didn't run to attack, they ran to survive. Today, you're going to learn the story of one of the most feared weapons ever created by humankind, a weapon that turned fire into absolute terror. This is napalm. Napalm was not created merely to destroy targets. It was created to break the human mind, to turn fear into a weapon. Unlike any traditional explosive, napalm doesn't kill all at once. It punishes, it lingers, it sticks. Made from a highly adhesive incendiary mixture, napalm burns at extreme temperatures and clings to everything it touches: clothes, skin, wood, concrete. Water doesn't put it out. Running doesn't help. Rolling on the ground only spreads the fire even more. Soldiers who survived napalm attacks said the same thing. They would rather face gunfire. They would rather face mines. They would rather face anything else, because against napalm, there was no courage strong enough. During World War II, this weapon began to be used on a large scale, not only against military positions, but against entire cities. Incendiary bombings turned whole neighborhoods into open hells. The heat was so intense that oxygen disappeared. People died without ever being touched by the flames, simply suffocated by the superheated air. The fire created its own wind. It fed itself. It consumed everything. Houses turned to ash, shelters became traps, streets became ovens. But the true terror was still to come. Decades later, in another conflict, the world would definitively associate napalm with absolute horror. During the Vietnam War, napalm fell over dense forests, villages, and narrow roads. The jungle burned as if it were made of paper. The ground boiled. The sky darkened in the middle of the day. There were no clear battle lines. Fire did not choose sides. Civilians ran. Soldiers ran. Everyone tried to escape the same thing. The psychological impact was devastating. Just the distant sound of aircraft was enough to spread panic. Positions were abandoned. Shelters were left behind. Fear came before the fire. Napalm didn't need to hit directly to destroy. The heat alone caused deep burns. Lungs were damaged. Vision was impaired. And those who survived carried scars forever. Burns that never fully healed. Constant pain. Trauma that returned every night. The fire didn't leave when the flames went out. It stayed in memory. Images began to circulate around the world. Burned bodies, people in shock, injured children. War stopped being just numbers and maps. It gained faces, it gained pain, it gained outrage. Napalm became a symbol, not of victory, but of cruelty. The world began to question itself. How far can a war go? Is there a limit? International treaties emerged, restrictions were created, the use of incendiary weapons began to be condemned, but none of that erased what had already been done. Napalm showed something terrifying. You don't need a sophisticated weapon to cause mass destruction. Sometimes all it takes is to take fire and drop it from the sky. Even today, the name napalm causes discomfort. It carries a historical weight that is hard to ignore. It is remembered not for the sound of the explosion, but for the silence that followed. The silence of destroyed cities, the silence of burned forests, the silence of those who survived but never forgot. Napalm reminds us that war doesn't end when the fire goes out. It continues in the scars, in the trauma, in the memories. And perhaps the greatest lesson left by this weapon is not found in its military effectiveness, but in the warning it leaves for the future. A warning about the cost of dehumanization, about what happens when fear becomes a strategy, and when fire stops being just fire and becomes terror. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about napalm as a weapon of war? Do you believe it is among the cruelest weapons ever created by humankind? Leave your comment below and also tell me which forgotten weapon, war machine, or historical event would you like to see in the next video. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and join the conversation. Here, history is told without filters, without softening the truth, the way it really was.